Hi, I'm Petty Officer Chris Avant. Join Petty Officer Monica Hallman and me on Navy Marine Corps News. This week, the Navy's Blue Angels light up the sky over Andrews Air Force Base in Washington, D.C. for the 1998 Joint Service Open House. And you don't have to love country music to enjoy this band. The Navy's Country Current perform for you live on this show. And we'll take you to the mat with the Navy Marine Corps team, some of the world's best wrestlers. These stories and more on Navy Marine Corps News. This week on Navy Marine Corps News, the Navy's Blue Angels light up the sky over Andrews Air Force Base as Mother Nature shines on Washington, D.C. Thousands flock to the airfield for the 1998 Joint Service Open House. Even if you're not a country music fan, you're going to love this band, the Navy's very own Country Current, perform for you live in our studios. And we'll take you to the mat with the Navy Marine Corps team, some of the world's best wrestlers. These stories and more next on Navy Marine Corps News.
Welcome to Navy Marine Corps News. I'm Petty Officer Monica Hallman.
And I'm Petty Officer Chris Avant.
You know, Chris, I think everyone enjoys watching an air show.
I know I do, especially when I get a chance to see the world-famous Blue Angels in action.
The Blue Angels were featured at this year's Joint Service Open House at Andrews Air Force Base near Washington, D.C.
Along with the Blues were some familiar favorites as well as some new surprises.
Petty Officer Tom Cridell brings us the story.
We're here at the Joint Service Open House, an annual event at Andrews Air Force Base, where the military brings its latest and high-tech equipment to display for hundreds of thousands of people. And while we were here, we thought we'd take a look around and see what the Navy Marine Corps team has to show off, like this FA-18F Super Hornet.
This plane was joined by several other Navy aircraft on a display representing a carrier flight deck, complete with haze gray paint and a hull number. This gave visitors a chance to reach out and touch our high-tech hardware. And while these planes are pretty exciting on the ground, the crowd really came to see them in the air. This F-14 was one of many planes that thrilled spectators throughout the weekend. This Harrier pilot gave a thorough demonstration of the jet's ability, flying forward, backward, and even showing off a few dance steps. Then some other Marines dropped in, literally. This fast rope demonstration showed how the Marine Corps makes a dramatic entrance. One of the most popular displays was the Mark V Special Operations boat. Its crew spent lots of time answering questions.
And while some people were checking out the Mark V at Andrews Air Force Base, others were lucky enough to take it out for a spin. As you can tell, we're not quite going this thing's top speed of 50 knots, but they say we're going to speed up.
With over 2,000 horsepower and some serious cornering ability, the Mark V is more than up to the task of getting Special Operations Forces where they need to get in a hurry. And while you may think this is a thrilling ride, the star of the Joint Service Open House was back up in the sky. The Navy's Blue Angels packed the house at the air show, performing their precision flight demonstration for the history and perhaps the future of naval aviation.
What's been your favorite part of the day out here today?
The Blue Angels, for sure. I like that fleur-de-lis. It's as good as it ever was. And the one where the two solos crossed without him announcing it, without them knowing it, watching everybody come up out of their seat.
Look at that! Those Blue Angels just went a long way, split in half.
If you missed this year's Joint Service Open House, it happens every year around Armed Forces Day in our nation's capital. Or you can check out the air show in your area. For Navy Marine Corps News, I'm Petty Officer Tom Cridell.
That was really cool. You know, the Blue Angels always put on a really good show.
They really do. But the thing I liked the most was the Mark V Special Ops boat. That looks like a lot of fun to drive.
A lot of sailors find their jobs fun, challenging, and rewarding.
As a matter of fact, 5 of the Navy's finest shore-based sailors waited with great anticipation last week to see which one would be chosen as the Shore Sailor of the Year.
Well, the wait is over, and the winner was announced in ceremonies at the Navy Memorial in Washington, D.C.
You can't get to this stage without being a top-notch sailor. The competition for Shore Sailor of the Year is keen. Just ask EO1 SCW Mark Songskin of the Naval Construction Training Center Detachment in Missouri. IS-1 SWAW Michael Haas of the Atlantic Intelligence Command, MM-1 SWAW Richard Sherman of Arco Drydock in San Diego, AT-1 AWSW Timothy Kelly of the Aircraft Intermediate Maintenance Department at NAS Oceana, or AD-1 AWNAC Mark Colvin of the AIMD at NAS Sigonella. These 5 sailors spent a week in Washington, PTing with admirals and master chiefs, visiting places like the Fleet Reserve Association and meeting with top Navy officials. And they spent a lot of time with Master Chief Jim Hurt, the Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy.
What we need to really start doing is thinking about building a sailor, and I like that term a lot. Building a sailor is something that only begins at boot camp. It only begins there. This is something that should take place over the entire length of a sailor's career.
For an entire week, a hand-picked board of senior sailors carefully reviewed and scored each candidate's service record. Each day began at 5:30 a.m. and sometimes lasted past 8 p.m. All of these long days led to the moment everyone waited for, the announcement by the Chief of Naval Operations.
And I'm very proud to announce that our 1998 Shore Sailor of the Year is Richard Thomas Sherman, Machinist Mate First Class, Surface Aviation Warfare.
Machinist Mate First Class Surface and Air Warfare Specialist Richard Sherman, a Boston, Massachusetts native, was overwhelmed by the news.
It's almost unexplainable. This is the greatest moment in my career. And I can't explain it. My heart's thumping, my stomach's turning. You know, all eyes are on me. It's fantastic.
Each of the sailors received Navy Commendation Medals, certificates, and other tokens of appreciation from sponsors and others involved in the selection process. Petty Officer Sherman will meritoriously advance to Chief Petty Officer and report to his next assignment in the Office of the Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy.
Congratulations to all the candidates in that competition and to the winners in other categories, the Atlantic and Pacific Fleets and the Reserve Sailor of the Year.
The 4 overall winners will be back in Washington, D.C. in July for the final ceremony and advancement to Chief Petty Officer.
Well done. Now, here's a group of potential winners. They are students at St. Martin's Lutheran School in Annapolis, Maryland. Those students responded to an ad in a local paper that challenged them and school children across the country to name the Navy's newest oceanographic survey ship. Now, they had to come up with a science-related project to help illustrate what they wanted to name the ship. St. Martin's and Oak Lawn Elementary School in Rhode Island are now the 2 finalists in the ship naming contest. 7th and 8th grade students at St. Martin's Lutheran School decided on the USNS Coriolis as a name for the Navy's latest oceanographic survey ship. Coriolis means the shift in the direction of the wind, and the students feel the name represents the Navy's efforts to help the oceans.
It's relevant to Navy oceanography and the shift in direction of just the Navy in general.
The 7th and 8th graders chose the name. Then the 7th graders made models of ships throughout history.
I had a couple pictures to look at, but nothing really that good. So I just got a model of a fishing boat, but basically the same size and shape, and just painted the same colors as the boat.
What a great competition. The children get so excited. You know, this competition is a first in ship naming.
And what a great idea. Congratulations to those 2 finalists. Now, those are some smart kids. The winner will be announced by the Secretary of the Navy, John Dalton, in a ceremony on June 5th.
We'll be there to bring you the story, so keep watching.
Now, here's some more good news. If you ever thought about securing your financial future, now is the time.
The annual savings bond campaign is in full force.
It sure is. It's easy. You do it by allotment, and before you know it, the bonds really add up.
The annual savings bond campaign runs until the end of June, so see your command savings bond representative today.
You'll be happy you did.
And you'll be happy if you stick around, because when we come back,
a special treat by one of the Navy Band's premier groups, the Country Current, as they join us for an in-studio jam session.
Don't go away.
Hi, I'm Amos 2 Dave Gonzalez, crew chief of number 4J. We are here at Andrews Air Force Base, and you are watching Navy Marine Corps News.
If you think this looks like another popular magazine, you're not alone. It's not that other magazine, though. It's the May edition of All Hands, and it's packed with sports and fitness tips. It's got interviews with the pros, like Junior Seau of the San Diego Chargers, who tell you how they stay fit. There are plenty of features about military sports and military sports stars who share some great tips on fitness. And for those who prefer the scientific approach, check out Bill Nye the Science Guy. Want to know how the Navy's elite SEAL teams stay in great shape? Here's what makes up their workout. The May All Hands is an awesome guide to fitness. So pick it up and pick up some great tips for fitness.
Welcome back. As promised, we've got a special treat for you, and I think you can guess what it is.
That's right. Joining us in the studio is one of the Navy's premier bands, the Country Current.
The band leader is Master Chief Robert Sullivan, and welcome aboard to you in the guise of Country Current today.
It's nice to be here, JO1.
Why don't you give us a little of the background of the band, and maybe you could introduce us to each member individually.
Certainly. Country Current was formed in 1973, and since that time we've traveled to 48 of the 50 states. And we've also performed in places such as Beijing, China, Stockholm, Sweden, and Halifax, Nova Scotia.
That sounds like fun.
It was. The personnel performing today with Country Current are from Charlottesville, Virginia, on the pedal steel guitar, musician first class David Sutton. Our drummer is from Chicago, Illinois. He is musician first class John Emmerich. And on banjo from Waldorf, Maryland, musician first class Keith Arneson.
The serious one.
He is by far the most serious. Our lead vocalist and master of ceremonies is from Maiden, North Carolina, senior chief musician Wayne Taylor. On fiddle, and he's from Hagerstown, Maryland, musician first class Patrick White. And finally, on electric bass today, he's from Sparta, Tennessee, and he was once a CB in the United States Navy. He cross-rated to the MU rating, and he is musician first class Joe Wheatley.
Well, great. We'll be happy to hear the unique sound of Country Current, so why don't we hear them in action?
Our pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Country Current.
Sure seems cold today. Here I am walking down 66. Wish she hadn't done me that way. Sleeping under the table at a roadside park. A man could wind up dead, but it sure is warmer than it was sleeping in my king-size bed. Is there anybody going to San Antonio? Arizona, any place is alright as long as I can forget. I've ever known. writing letters back home. Tomorrow she won't be back again, but I'll be just as gone. Is there anybody going to San Antonio or Phoenix, Arizona? Any place is all right as long as I can forget I've ever known her. Any place is all right as long as I can forget I've ever known her.
Wonderful.
That was great. A lot of fun. Kind of brings me back home because I come from San Antonio myself.
Right.
Thanks a lot, Mashie, for bringing Country Current to the show today.
Our pleasure.
Now, I understand that Country Current has a CD that they're working on right now?
Yes, we are. We're in the studio right now recording it, and it should be available in about 6 months. Now, anyone interested in obtaining the CD can call the Navy Band Public Affairs Office at 202-433-6090.
Now, I understand you also have a very busy summer schedule coming up of where you're going to perform.
Yes, it certainly is busy. Our viewers may find us in Pennsylvania, Washington State, Delaware, or even in the greater Washington area.
Wherever you go, we're going to come out, and I'm hoping to catch you right here in D.C. So thanks again to everybody.
Good.
Now, when we come back, you're going to meet a sailor who has his sights set high on the Olympic Games in Sydney.
Don't go away. Master Chief, how about you take us into the break?
Great.
I'm Lieutenant Dan Hicks, freestyle and Greco-Roman champion, Armed Forces 1998. Stay tuned for more Navy Marine Corps news. Hoorah!
Actually, I'd been drinking quite heavily that night, and there were people smoking marijuana, and I guess I was drunk to the point that I didn't know it, but later on it had showed up on a command year analysis that I'd smoked.
I received a BCD from the military after 8 years of service, 2 good conduct medals, various other ribbons and medals, and all of that is going down the drain now as a result of an alcohol-related incident.
I'd immediately show them what it's done to me. Immediately show them how much money I've lost, how much time I've lost, what it did to my family. Now I don't see my little girl. She's 2 years old. I haven't seen her in over a year, and I probably will never get to see her again.
I can't say if you don't want to end up here, then don't drink. But if you want to increase your chances in not ending up here, then don't drink.
Welcome back to the show.
Now, here's a story about a petty officer with a dream.
Through hard work, dedication, and devotion to something he loves to do, this sailor has his eyes set on the year 2000 Summer Olympic Games in Sydney, Australia.
And he participates in one tough and highly competitive sport, wrestling.
Petty Officer Bill Johnson Miles of our San Diego detachment takes us to the mat to meet this sailor who serves aboard USS John F. Kennedy.
Petty Officer Steve Mays came within one match of winning a spot on the U.S. Olympic team in 1996. That made him an alternate, but being an alternate isn't good enough.
Well, it's been a goal of mine ever since that I know I was a tiny child, 9 years old, started wrestling. The only thing I've always known was make the Olympic team, make the Olympic team. This is toward the end of my career. I want to go out with a bang. 2000 can be it.
To get to Sydney in the year 2000 is going to take a lot of hard work.
We train 6 days a week, 2 to 3 times per day. We do a lot of mat training. You've seen some techniques where I was taking him down, he was taking me down. A lot of calisthenics, a lot of weight training, and plenty of running.
To train with a guy like that, you actually see firsthand commitment to excellence. Commitment. No matter himself or the team, he always pushes himself to be from here to here, above the rest of the competition.
But it does take more than commitment and hard work to make that Olympic team.
You need support from your job, and the Navy, first and foremost, provides me with the time to put in that you need to achieve that goal, first of all. I do want to thank, I can't say it enough, my command, USS John F. Kennedy, my commanding officer. I really want to thank them for the opportunity they give me. Without them, I wouldn't be able to be here.
In the Armed Forces tournament, Mays didn't win the Greco-Roman title, but he did beat the champion.
And Steve Mays, he brings out the best in me. He's a great competitor, and when he beat me, I knew I had to step it up a level. So I give half of the medal to him.
He beat Martin, but he lost his next 2 matches.
This is just the beginning. They're stepping stones, and when you fall down, you got to get up. I stumbled a little bit, but I'll be back. And, wrestling is a marathon. It's not how you start the race, it's how you finish. And hopefully in 2000, I'll be the man. It's my dream. That's Steve Mays back there, USA Olympic team.
Wow, we sure wish Petty Officer Mays the best of luck in reaching that goal.
We certainly do. Now, are you in the mood for some more wrestling in the spirit of Military Sports Month?
Sure.
Well, check out this high-energy wrestling tournament from Colorado Springs, Colorado, where the Marine Corps team beat the odds to come out on top.
Here again is Petty Officer Bill Johnson Miles of our San Diego detachment.
These military athletes wrestled in 2 separate tournaments at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs. The first one was freestyle, and the second was Greco-Roman. The main difference is that in Greco-Roman, you can't use your legs or your opponent's legs. Navy won a few matches, but they didn't produce any champions. However, it was a different story for the Marine Corps. They had 5 gold medalists, 3 of them winning in both freestyle and Greco-Roman.
Pretty good, actually. I felt real good about it. First year wrestling freestyle competitively, so felt pretty good.
This year's 276-pound Greco-Roman champion is a 1984 Olympic silver medalist, and he says being a Marine has helped him become a winner.
As you know, Marines have a lot of discipline. Everyone needs discipline in their life, and I'm glad to be part of the Marine Corps. I learned a lot just doing the things Marines do, not just in wrestling, but a good foundation all around.
That foundation helped the Marine Corps as they battled Army for the team title. Army has won the Armed Forces Team Championship in both Greco-Roman and freestyle for the past 6 years. Army beat the Marines by only 2 points to claim this year's freestyle team title, but to pull off the upset in Greco-Roman in the very last match of the competition, the Marine Corps team needed 44-year-old Master Sergeant Gibson to beat his Army opponent by at least 10 points. And that's exactly what he did.
That means so much to us. You don't even know anything else that happened out there. My pen, tops, tech fall, everything doesn't measure up at all compared to the win. We've been skunked for 6 years. It's time we got one.
I got the job back in September, and as soon as I got it, I knew this was my #1 goal, and I put everything and all my time and effort into doing this one goal, and it all came together. It's a David and Goliath story right here in the making. Army's program's a lot bigger than us, a lot more money, and we just came up from underneath and took the title from them. It's great.
There's nothing like Marines celebrating a victory. Navy journalist Bill Johnson Miles, Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Well done to those Marines. You could see that beating the Army team was very emotional for them.
It sure was, and what a great victory for the Navy Marine Corps team.
Well, we have another special treat for you. Cyber Sailor is back with a new look.
Yeah, like a new sailor.
That's right, the old Cyber Sailor is moving on to a new duty station.
But fortunately for us, we have a qualified replacement.
So here's our new Cyber Sailor, Petty Officer Scott Prather, to show us some great music sites.
Thanks, JL1. I know what you're wondering. Where's the old Cyber Sailor? Well, he's moved on and I'm stepping in. And since I had some time on my hands this week, thought I'd check out some cool music sites. And if you love music like I do, you're gonna love these sites. And I found a great site called CD Now. So let's get rocking. Here you can browse music by type, such as rock pop, country folk, or any other type of music you fancy. So let's get started with rock pop. You can search music by artist, title, song title, record label, or soundtrack. I'm going to check out artist and my favorite band, Metallica. Here, click on discography and you can buy t-shirts, videos, and other band memorabilia. Now let's check out country folk. This time let's check out title. I'm going to punch up Ropin' to Win. And if you're a country music lover, you probably know who sings Ropin' to Win. But if you're not, let me tell you, it's Garth Brooks. This site tells you a little bit about the album, but if you want to know more, scroll on down to the notes section and it tells you a little history about the album. And did you know that Ropin' to Win was the first country album to debut at the top of the Billboard pop charts? This site is full of interesting facts like that. Something else that reaches the top of the Billboard charts is hip-hop, and I found a great site called Music Boulevard. Let's check it out. Here you can also find rock, pop, and country, but I'm going to check out hip-hop. This site has cool new releases you can buy. You can even check out the new He Got Game soundtrack. Well, that's all for now. Join me next week when I bring you some more great sites. Remember, send your comments or show ideas to the email address listed below. For Navy Marine Corps News, I'm Petty Officer Scott Prather.
It's good to have the Cyber Sailor segment back.
It sure is. He had some really great music sites there for us, too.
Well, that's the show for this week. As always, we'd like to hear your thoughts and ideas about Navy Marine Corps news, so call our feedback line or send us an email.
The email address as well as the phone number and mailing address will be back at the end of the show.
Before we go, we'd like to thank a lot of people, namely the hospital corpsmen serving in the Navy and with the Marine Corps.
That's right. HMs around the world are celebrating the 100th year anniversary of the HM rating.
Thanks to all those docs out there.
And congrats to HM1 and Donald B. Singleton of Bethesda Naval Medical Center. He was selected as the Bureau of Naval Medicine's Shore Sailor of the Year.
We'd also like to say hello and welcome to our new friends in St. Louis who started watching us this week on DHTV Channel 21.
And also hello and thanks for watching to our shipmates on the attack submarines USS Providence and USS Tucson.
Both of those subs are part of the 5th Fleet, proudly serving in the Arabian Gulf.
Keep up the good work. Now we leave you this week with another look at the Joint Service Open House at Andrews Air Force Base.
Until next week.
See ya.